The federal election is coming up, and here are some possible repercussions for investors based on the outcome, in order of likelihood based on current polls and election promises. First of all, it looks like a minority government no matter who wins, which is a positive for markets. Gridlock is best to limit interference in markets, and to be honest, given our options, we do not want any of them to have a majority right now. First of all, a Liberal win would result in clawing back the TFSA limit in half from $10,000 a year, a $10 billion deficit spent mostly on infrastructure, an attempt to legalize marijuana, a tax cut for the middle class combined with an increase on the upper class, an increase in mandatory CPP, payroll taxes, and elimination of income splitting. This would likely reduce the value of the Canadian dollar due to a greater deficit, at a time when most economies are in recovery mode and trying to balance the budgets. See the attached chart. Liberals are horrible for the Canadian dollar. As you can see, under Liberal rule, the Canadian dollar has fallen or become more expensive relative to the US dollar by at least 10% under every single Liberal leader over the past 50 years, except for Paul Martin. Meanwhile, the dollar has appreciated around 20% under Conservatives Mulroney and twice under Harper, separated by the recent recession spike. The most recent energy-induced spike may continue to worsen if we have a Liberal election victory. Infrastructure plays have already been rising in anticipation of their increased spending, but the upside could continue. However, should they not win, these plays could also see some downside pressure. Marijuana companies might get a boost, but this is an area that's already getting a lot of attention and not an area many people feel comfortable investing in. Higher payroll taxes will hurt small businesses and without a doubt lead to some layoffs or reduced hours, and a result of higher unemployment. Due to cuts to TFSA, income splitting, increase in CPP, and higher taxes on the wealthy, these all amount to less investable dollars into markets, where they would otherwise most likely be allocated, which wouldn't be good for equities. However, the TSX on average has performed much better under Liberal rule than Conservative rule, possibly due to the lower Canadian dollar attracting foreign investment, or that Conservatives are generally elected during difficult economic times, from the Great Depression, the 80s oil glut, into the recent recession, while Liberals are elected when times are better. During Conservative rule, the TSX generally has a more of a slow, steady, range-bound climb, excluding external shocks previously mentioned, while during Liberal rule, the movements seem much more pronounced, so increased volatility is a possibility. A Conservative win would likely just result in much of the same in the short term. No other party will work with them to form a coalition, so this could lead to another election or a lot of political gridlock. The higher TFSA limit, for as long as it lasts, should inject more money into Canadian equities each new year it remains in place, as would lower taxes. Without a doubt, a Conservative government would benefit the energy sector at a time when it desperately needs all the help it can get. Expect the pipeline fights to continue, but with a much greater chance of success under Conservative leadership. A balanced budget and the certainty of a known entity continuing to rule would no doubt provide more stability to the Canadian dollar, which would likely increase should commodity prices start to rebound during the current tenure. An NDP victory would result in an increase in the corporate tax rate, a balanced budget, a decrease in the TFSA limit, a fight for a higher minimum wage, and cheap childcare for all. Quebec tried the cheap $7 a day childcare for all and is now reviewing it because it simply costs too much to the taxpayers and does not make sense to offer a program where users are only paying a fraction of the cost to run it, even though many could comfortably afford to pay more. The same problems go for the $15 minimum wage. In theory it seems like a nice idea, but try to tell that to the person who has worked many years to earn small increases in pay to work up to $15 an hour, and now can have anyone from a high school dropout to someone with no education working at a fast food place earning the same wage. Some of their ideas seem great on paper, but we all know from past experiences, such as Ray Days in Ontario, that when actually in power, they can be the most cruel party of all to the individuals who elected them. This is a socialist country, but some free market elements are required, otherwise it may as well be communist. Small business and big business alike will suffer under new government should the NDP become elected. And considering this is what makes up most of our economy and supports the government spending they enjoy promising, some problems would no doubt arise. The party has moved more to the right, and it has been debated throughout this election that perhaps the Liberals are even farther left than the NDP. However, some of their policies just aren't feasible at this point and would drastically hurt the economy. Add to that the fact that a massive victory in Alberta brought in some embarrassing representatives, such as Deborah Drever, along with disastrous increases in layoffs combined with less investment in the oil sands, and it is easy to understand why their popularity has plummeted recently. They will likely be a distant third, and are just not ready yet to rule over Canada. Personally, I think that our entire political system should be reformed. We have too many political parties adhering to strict values, and people vote only with political allegiances in mind, rather than for the best candidate in their individual riding. Then their representatives are forced to vote with their party on all matters, effectively eliminating the entire democratic value of our system. No one individual has all of the exact same beliefs and values as anyone else, so acting as such is deplorable. Trudeau stating last year that anyone wanting to run as a Liberal would have to vote pro-choice should the issue ever come up in the House of Commons angered me more than any other comment in a democratic election that I have ever heard. The change we need, I think, is in our entire political system. Forget about political parties and traditional views, and let us all just analyze each issue on a case-by-case basis, and let our elected officials do what we elect them to do, use their intelligence, common sense, and support from their constituents to do what they think is best for the people that they represent. Please share this video, and you can also subscribe to me on YouTube. I have other investing and political videos, and you can also join my Facebook group, Stocks and Options Trading. Thank you, and have a great day.